Welcome to Your Music Saved Us, where two friends blast ourselves into the past to relive and recontextualize the alternative Christian music we grew up listening to in the 1990s. My name is Clifton, and I'll be your server during this novelty beverage affair. And joining us from the Banana Hut, Jay. What's your favorite carbonated beverage?
Ooh. Is it lame to say just seltzer?
Sure.
It's kind of lame.
If you want it to be.
I'm pretty into seltzer these days, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm drinking, for example, right now, sparkling black cherry water, which is, that's seltzer. A soda.
That's seltzer. Yeah.
But it's also a soda, technically, I guess, you know?
Right,
so I'm drinking black cherry soda right now. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Took me a second. Sorry. All right.
And what novelty beverage will we be enjoying today, Jay?
We are listening to Black Cherry Soda's 1995 debut, Grin.
All right. And for everyone who doesn't know who Black Cherry Soda is, you're not, I mean, you know. Okay, we'll get around to it. Is this soda available at like every neighborhood grocer, or is it harder to find them?
No, it is harder to find. You've got to really seek out this soda.
Okay. Yeah, it is nowhere. Like, it is, I guess it's on YouTube. Yeah, that's it.
Because you put it up, or was it already there?
Somebody else already there.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
I know. Great. All right. Was this part of the Eucharist in youth group? Okay, it's falling apart. Was this played in youth group?
Not mine.
Nope.
Nope,
not mine either. I don't think that this is a little. No, it never would have gotten anywhere in my youth group. Yeah. Are we getting preached at?
I mean, not really.
Yeah.
Maybe like slightly, but not really.
Yeah, I agree. Only slightly, if at all. Okay. Well, Jay, I have some bad news.
Oh, shit.
Spotify. This is a note about Spotify, everyone. Spotify has been trying to take people's episodes down that have music in them.
Fuck you, Spotify.
Yeah. When we first started sharing our episodes on Spotify, it's actually pretty fine. Like they did this thing where it was like, hey, you've got other people's music in your episodes. We're just going to link it to that, and we're not going to monetize it. Which we don't care about monetizing. We're just going to like give the money to them. And I was like, perfect.
Great.
That works.
We don't care.
But now they're just taking people's episodes down that have anything in them at all. We're not the first victims of this. You may have noticed that I think maybe the excommunication station has had a problem with this. And what else? Did you say that Jeremy over at...
Well, Jeremy at Rumors Are True was asking about who we use, so I don't know if he was having troubles with this, but
yeah,
we're going to imply that he was.
Yeah, for people who use Spotify as their primary publishing tool, it's bad news. We don't do that. So, if you're hearing this on Spotify, which I'm going to make this its own little special announcement episode too. If you're hearing this on Spotify and you're wondering where our new episodes are, fuck Spotify. Come find us anywhere fucking else.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah. All right. That's all about Spotify. But also another thing before we get into things, please visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute and get extended episodes. This money helps us just, pay the bills for the few things that we do around here. Hosting, Moises, the program that we use to break down stuff like that. And I'm going to give a little shout out to our current patrons. That is John F., Justin Hensley, Kurt, Jeremy Sayer, Mixolydian Man, Aaron Quillen, Robbie Reagan, Charles Murphy, Noel Westbrook, Julie Ross, Chris Made My Own Lane, The Ghost of Larry Nichols, and Gravity Head Zero.
Whoa! Thank you, patrons.
You know what's weird is the Ghost of Larry Nichols I know from, I think that person is a patron on Knowledge Fight. But Gravity Head Zero, who is also our top contributing patron ever, I know because they are the top contributing patron on Opening Arguments, another great podcast that goes through legal shit, which is mostly about Trump right now because legal shit.
Well, thank you, Gravity Head Zero.
Yeah. And if you want to come on, dude, whoever you are, I don't know.
Yeah, let us know.
Let's do it. Let's do an episode. Yeah. All right. Jay, tell us a little bit about Black Cherry Soda.
I'm going to let everyone in on a little secret here. You know, when we decide to do an episode, a lot of times it's not super well thought out. A lot of times we have a little spreadsheet we've been keeping of bands we remember and stuff. And, you know, we just kind of picked it off here. And I'll be honest, this was a struggle. This was a bit of a mystery. Like, I couldn't find any real interviews, old websites, like nothing. Grey Dot Records had a little bit about them on their page from them because that website is still up for some unknown reason. But that was about it. And to add to the mystery, when I looked up the drummer on Discogs, it turns out he had a credit on Newsboys' 1999 album Love, Liberty, Disco. So I was kind of like scratching my head. Then the singer had credits on a bunch of Ian Escalante albums, including All Star United, which, by the way, we covered all the way back in 2020 on episode 2. Yeah, so I was just like, what? But like, so I could find that, but nothing really about Black Cherry Soda. So I was really scratching my head. But thankfully, our buddy Jeremy at the Rumors Are True podcast came through again. He did an episode with Scott Tyson from Black Cherry Soda back in late 2024. And I'm going to be honest, that is what most of this is based on because there is really not much else out there. So
I'm going to cut here and say, by the way, the lyrics, I typed up the lyrics from what I could tell, but I actually, the interview that Jay's going to talk about is with Scott Tyson, the guitarist for Black Cherry Soda. I actually was able to contact Scott. Great guy. He may be on a future episode. We'll see. And got him to go over the lyrics for us. So thank you, Scott, for confirming the lyrics for us and giving us a
basically, we and Jeremy are indebted to Scott for this because honestly, without that, this would have been, well, a much shorter intro. Yeah. I'll say that. But Scott grew up right outside Philadelphia. He was a church kid. He grew up listening to Van Halen, U2, etc. But he says everything changed in late middle school when Husker Du came into his life. And he would pore over the cassette liner notes and, you know, like research all the bands that are listed in the thank yous and stuff. I know a lot of us did that. Scott saw some of his classmates form a band to play for their 8th grade graduation, and he realized, hey, I can do this. So he started playing guitar. And at some point in high school, Scott was introduced to 7 Seconds. He heard their album New Wind, and he said it really changed things for him. He formed a band in high school, recruited Dave Calamaro from his church to play bass with him. But then, like everyone, he graduates, he goes away for college, and he decides to start playing music with his roommate in his dorm, and they called it Black Cherry Soda. Just the name, though. They're not really the band at this point. Scott comes home for the first summer. He reconnects with a high school buddy of his, Dan Router, and he told Dan, we got to start a punk band. And Dan is into a lot of Discord bands, and he helps Scott get into those bands like Shudder to Think, Government Issue. And Scott liked the bands that were really stripped down. One guitar, bass, drums, and vocalist, like Dag Nasty. He wanted to follow that formula for his band. So, when they put a band together at first, it was Dan doing vocals, Scott playing guitar, his buddy Pete playing bass, and Dan's younger brother Tim playing drums. Dan went to Wheaton College, so it's all the way over in Illinois, for school. So he was away during the school year, but Scott had moved back home. So Scott got together with Pete and Tim and wrote a bunch of songs and then would mail recordings of the songs to Dan off at school. And when Dan returned home for Christmas break or summer, he would have lyrics ready. So they got about 15 songs together this way, and they recorded a demo, Interesting Life of Mine, at a friend's home studio in 1991. They recorded another 7-song demo in 1993 called Chew Your Cud. And because Dan was at Wheaton College, which is near Chicago, in Jesus People USA, it's the group that's in Chicago that also puts on the Cornerstone Festival, or I should say past tense, put on the Cornerstone Festival. The band got asked to play there in 1993, and they played with a pre-Tooth and Nail Sometime Sunday. And there's actually footage of them playing one of the songs, and we'll link it in the show notes. But through playing at Cornerstone, they got connected to Boot to Head Records and ended up doing a split 7-inch with Crux that came out in 1994. So around this time, Dan graduates from college, moves down to Nashville with his college roommate, Ian Eskelin, which helps explain so much, right, of all the weird links on Discogs. But Dan gets into band management, and he was working for the music industry in Nashville. Ian Eskelin knew the guys who were starting Via Records, and the guys were looking for one more band for their spring 1995 releases, and Ian said, "Well, have you heard Dan's band?" The Via guys listened to their demo and said, "Let's do it." So Dan called Scott, and the guys came down to Nashville to record. And at some point around this time, Pete left the band, and Scott's old high school friend from church, Dave Calamaro, joined the band on bass. And they recorded Grin in a week in Nashville, and it came out in the spring of 1995.
Cool. Well, that sheds some light on some interesting things. Thank you, Jay.
Yes, and once again, thank you to Jeremy and to Scott, because otherwise this would have been like 3 sentences, maybe 2.
Yeah, when I first contacted Scott, he was like, "There's not a lot of stuff out there on us."
Yeah, there's definitely not.
All right, Jay, when did you first find Black Cherry Soda? When did it come into your life?
Clifton, I think that year in 1995, I remember seeing this advertised in magazines, I think around the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Via Records was kind of just like a little blip for a second. Like, it seemed to have money initially because they had a few albums coming out at the same time. They had a bunch of ads and everything, and then it just like, bloop, was gone.
And we've talked about the history of Via Records before.
Yeah.
Well, cool. What did you think about it at the time, I guess? Yeah.
I liked it, but I didn't really understand that it was punk.
Yeah.
Like, they said it was punk.
Right.
But you have to remember, at the same time was MXPX. Well, Polka Nacho was out, but then Teenage Politics came out, which I was pretty into.
Right.
And I think I probably maybe even heard Blenderhead too. And I was just kind of like, this doesn't sound like that. This is a little slower in a lot of places. Like, is this punk? And so a lot like our last episode on Puller, I didn't have anything to compare this to. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't really have a framework for this. So I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
I liked it some, but I think I kind of put it down and moved on to like MXPX pretty quickly, and I didn't really pick it up too much after that.
Okay, yeah. I think my experience was very similar. I don't think I ever owned it, but a friend of mine did, and we listened to it together quite often. But yeah, I definitely, like, it's punk, right? But it's not punk in any flavor that I understood.
Yeah.
Right. It's definitely for me fitting into this kind of 121. But even that's more poppy kind of than this is, you know. Blaster, the Rocket Boy kind of thing, you know, like it's punk, but it's in a different framework than I'm used to with quote unquote pop punk, which is what we were probably largely exposed to. So yeah, I agree. I liked it. I found it melodic and nice, but I didn't have the right framework for it to really become a big part of my life. But I will say that over the years, I've kind of remembered them and been like, I should go back and listen to that again. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good. Did you ever get into their second album?
No, and well, spoiler alert, I would like to hear it. Like, after listening to this, I was kind of like, huh, I'm intrigued, but I'm not sure I've ever heard it.
Yeah, me
so
either. Yeah.
I'm hoping maybe on a future episode we can do that one because it'll be a big surprise for me.
Yeah. This was one of those albums that we found at not Mardell, but the other family Christian bookstore. And they had like one copy of it. That's why my friend owned it and I didn't,
Right.
Probably because it was on Via, so it did get into the record store, but they didn't have, they weren't deep on stock for it,
Yeah.
And maybe maybe if Mardell ever did have it, maybe the only copy they ever had was sold and they never stocked it again, I don't know. But it was probably a few years later that I found it. It was probably like late 96 for me kind of thing. Yeah. Is there anything that stood out to your memory before we went back to it? Any songs?
Honestly, when I've re-listening to it now, I remembered certain parts, but before re-listening to it, I don't think I could have named like a specific song.
Yeah.
Or anything.
I remembered ILM for some reason. And I kind of had like a mashup in my head of the sound.
Yeah.
But not a specific song probably as well. And by the way, I remember ILM, like I remember the name of the song.
Oh.
Like, yeah. But music wise, just kind of the mashup in my head. Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever listened to it again over the years?
No.
Okay.
No. So I really kind of was not even sure what to expect.
Yeah.
With this, because my memory, it's been so long. So this was kind of a fun one to go back.
It was.
To. Yeah.
I've enjoyed this. Yeah. I mean, is there anything that jumped out immediately upon re-listening?
Yeah. It because I have more of a framework for this now. Those early bands that we talked about that Scott was into, like Husker Du, Dag Nasty, that kind of stuff, even like early Fugazi, I mean, maybe even slightly Minor Threat, like just the Discord bands that they talk about. I was like, oh, I get this more now. I remember the first time I put it on, getting ready for this podcast, playing through the first 3 or 4 songs. I was like, oh, okay. I see what they're doing. Yeah, all right. Now I'm kind of into it, but I just didn't have before I was like, punk, this doesn't sound like Green Day or MXPX. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, I think that pop punk is almost like a movement that ate itself, because it's like the punk version of punk, right? And this, like, punk is a movement that was very stripped down, very, kind of just fast and in your face kind of thing, and pop punk is like the simplified version of punk, right? it's yeah. Anyways, the snotty kind of kid version, but that's what people would say of punk originally, right? And so when listening to this, I'm like, oh, right. I mean, and I know this from listening to other punk, but like my first thought is, this is when punk was pulling from influences that weren't punk. Like, not these guys themselves, but the people they were listening to.
Right, yeah. This is definitely pulling from more like late 80s.
Yes.
Very early 90s.
Yeah.
Punk versus like what I was more used to is like 90s, like kind of like pop punk, skate punk type stuff. Where this is not that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. For some reason, we're going through like the first half of the album. I think it's the more poppy side of the album, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I like the first half of this album much more. In fact, re-listening to this, I was a little bit like, man, why wasn't I more into this?
Right.
And then it got to the second half of the album, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
I don't like this as much.
But then I kept listening to the album, and the second half of the album is good. It's just a different mindset, a different framework again, almost.
Yeah,
and we're going to cover.
Songs,
go ahead.
Songs are a little different.
Yeah, and we're going to cover one song we're going to cover track 10 from the second half of the album, which I think is a good view into that world, and I really like. But yeah, let's start with track 1, ILM.
Or
Or ilm.
as they say in the song.
Yes.
This is a nice beginning for the album. First of all, it's like a really short song, and it's got this nice feedback just straight into the drums. It's a nice beginning for the album, and it's a good place to stick this song. I don't know that it would fit anywhere else.
Yeah.
So. I really like how those drums come in.
Yeah.
It just sounds really nice over that feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's nothing on this album is like super technical.
No.
Last week we talked about Puller and the drummer and stuff. This is not like that, but it's just, it's good for what it is. Yeah.
And it all feels good, like very little punk makes space for itself. But this opening track like makes space for itself, It comes in slowly, and then it comes in with that and you're just like, okay, I can groove with this,
And also, like, the song is 1:49, so like nothing is like, it's fine to groove with that for 5-10 seconds.
Right,
That's about all you get. Yeah, and that works for this. By the way, lyrically, that's the entire song.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to repeat it. Which happens a few times on this album, for sure. I like the sped up verses and then the slowed down chorus.
Yeah.
And that to me feels very much of like very late 80s, early 90s punk. I'm going to tell our listeners, I'm not as well versed in that. So I'm like struggling to name like influences on that. But that feels right for that style, the way they kind of slow it down in the chorus right there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I know some early punk and I know the punk we grew up with, and that is like that middle part. No, I know nothing about. Maybe I need to fix that. Yeah.
I mean, it does. I did listen to some Dag Nasty because they talk about it also in the first version. The CD for some reason was like re-released with slightly different artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And the inside, that one, I don't think these photos are in there, but in the first one, I think it's Dan. I can't remember. One of the people in the band has a big Dag Nasty shirt in multiple photos, so it's like very clear. And they sound a lot like Dag Nasty.
Okay, I don't know Dag Nasty. I know Husker Du, but I don't think this sounds a lot like Husker Du.
This definitely sounds like Dag Nasty to me, at least.
Okay. But yeah, that's honestly most of the song, because it's going to repeat itself. But like, yeah, I do really like the da 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 da, and then into that fast verse is a lot of fun, and Dan has a very nice way of his very interesting way of having melody to his vocals and rhythm. Honestly, that seems effortless. It seems minimal,
Yeah, and he does some, like, his vocals are nothing special in that, like, the sound of his voice.
Right.
Like, but stylistically, he does some different stuff on this album, which is fun. Like, he's definitely changing it up on certain songs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely so. And you can even hear they're like, the vocals are actually kind of buried. Like nothing about this is precision, modern recording. As you've already heard, it's probably more to the tune of like mid to late 80s recording technology than even 95 when it comes out, you know. But his vocals are kind of buried, which is an interesting choice. But I don't know. I think that there's something punk about it because it almost feels lazy, but it's not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
All right. Let's listen, I guess, to like the last chorus to the end of the song because it pretty much just repeats itself.
And he says the name of the song at the very end.
Jay.
Ilm.
Jay.
Oh, sorry.
Giving it away. Spoiler alert. Yeah, so they say ilm there at the end, which is interesting. What the fuck did you think ilm means?
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't even know that I put together what he said at the end. I was just like,
oh,
what?
Really?
Yeah.
As a kid, I was like, who knows?
Yeah.
It's going to be a mystery, I guess. I did some research because I was like, what could ilm mean, right?
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead.
And, I've got like industrial light and magic, ILM.
Oh,
right.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. There's the index for life cycle management, which is like, like how long do parts last and things like that,
That's probably it.
Yeah. Ilm is also an Arabic word. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it is an Arabic word for knowledge.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Pretty cool. That's not what it is. Okay.
Well,
what is it, Jay?
Here's the thing. Back in 1995, it would have been much harder to know this, but Black Cherry Soda's, as I said before, first demo in 91 was called Interesting Life of Mine, ILM. So there we go.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah, so this song was on, and unfortunately there's no copy of it on YouTube or anything this year, so I haven't heard it, but this was on their 1991 demo.
Yeah. All right, Jay, should we talk about the lyrics?
Sure. They're pretty short. You want me to read them?
Sure. Yeah, you read the first one.
It says, look at me, look at you, look at all the things you do, look at me, look at you, look at all the things you do. Try to find a better way to say the things I have to say. Never meant to let you down, never meant to do you wrong. I'm sorry for not speaking my mind. I never meant to leave you behind. And now I'm feeling all the pain that I've caused. What can I say now that the damage is done? Ilm.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's pretty straightforward. And you kind of get that with a lot of the lyrics from this band. There's doesn't seem to be at least a lot of like hidden meanings behind stuff. It's also not super in your face, like preachy.
Yeah, which is something I enjoyed about it when I was a kid, is that it's not preachy. It is obviously about a relationship, but it's not like, oh, I'm pining over a girl, right? I enjoyed that it was just a song about a relationship. Like, I did bad, and now, like, what do I do about it? Like, you get fucked up, and I have to live with that. Yeah.
There's a few songs on here that they could be about romantic, but they don't have to be, right? Which is kind of nice, actually. Yeah.
And I think this is, I do think it's a good topic. I personally, I'll say that I think that hurting someone and having no way of making up for that may be one of the hardest things in life to live with.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, let's move on to track 2. Same Old Story. This one's 3 minutes long.
Yeah, this is a longer one. This is also on their 1991 demo. This has a different vibe than the other song. It follows nicely from it, honestly, but it's we get some background vocals. It's just a different style of song for sure. what you played there is a good example. Like this is a good recording, especially for 95. I mean, it's probably they had some money behind it. They're recording in Nashville. And it sounds good right there. I think the bass sounds nice when it comes in. It's nothing special, but it pushes the music ahead as it's going doom 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 doom. You know, yeah. Again, there's nothing super technical about this, but I think it works.
Personally, I think I really like the kind of the texture, the texture of the guitars, kind of just that scratchy, lo-fi, just we're gonna play some guitar and you're gonna listen to it, kind of rock and roll punk rock.
I think I've had enough. I never thought that it would end this way. Expectations of what could have been have knocked me down and ripped you away. When I try to share my feelings with you, I turn around and find that you're not there. I have to wonder if you ever love me. I have to wonder if you ever can.
So, Clifton, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is one of the only places on this album where we get background vocals.
Yeah,
actually.
It doesn't happen very often. And is it background? This is more like dual vocals.
Okay,
Yeah.
even I'll give you that, dual vocals. Like, I like it a lot.
Me
In
too.
fact, I might be so bold to say I think this might be my favorite song.
When I was a kid, it was definitely one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. It's got a really nice vibe. We're just about to play the chorus, which I think is also really nice. Like, it has a little bit different feel than most of the rest of the album. I was curious. I was surprised this was actually on their 91 demo because I thought, well, maybe this is a little bit later because of the background vocals, everything. And who knows? This may sound, again, we couldn't hear the original from 91, so this may sound quite a bit different. But it's a longer song. Like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Like my thinking was that this is a more mature songwriting. You know, it's a step forward probably in their songwriting. And I say I think that they probably should have explored this dual vocal thing more, honestly. And by the way, the dual vocals, Dan is doing the typical the guy who does lead vocals is doing the talking part, and Scott, the guy who we've been talking about already, who plays guitar and also wrote most of the music for the album, is doing the kind of higher part for those dual vocals.
I have to wonder if you ever love me. I have to wonder if you ever can. Depression is taking its toll. Obsession is the lose control. Confusion has clouded my mind. You got ahead and left me behind. You think you've had it all. All those problems that you couldn't solve. Never bothered to ask the questions. Your blind solutions became your resolve. I tried to figure it out. I looked inside to find where I went wrong. I always thought I was doing the right thing. I always thought you wanted it wrong. Depression is taking its toll. Obsession makes me lose control.
Yeah, it's just fun, right? The chorus is nice. I would have liked a few more songs like this on the album. This is really the only one that's got this vibe, and I could have done with a couple more.
I agree. And I really like the listen to these guitars that are behind the chorus here. It's a great little riff that kind of makes it sound almost chaotic behind it. Yeah.
This album, tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like in a couple places, here is one, and there's some other places, it almost has like a surf vibe slightly to it. Do you get that a little bit?
That's interesting, yeah. I mean, definitely that kind of influence from the guitar. I agree.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Yeah.
But I think that's just true of some of the punk of that age too, you know?
I think so.
Yeah. That surf was just kind of an influence as far as it was a counterculture that had an interesting music that was melodic and fun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This song actually has a bridge with a guitar solo. I'm not entirely sure that that's Scott playing it. I know that Troy Doherty from Hoi Polloi was
So-
hanging around the studio, and I think this might be him.
We do know who it is.
We do. Okay.
Let's listen to it and then we can talk about it.
All right, you will tell me. Okay, good.
I'm going to say, I don't like it. Not my cup of tea as far as guitar
a
solos
surprise.
go.
Clifton didn't like a guitar solo. Wow, I'm shocked.
All right, so this is from Scott. Fun fact, guitar solo was done in one take in the studio by the Hoi Polloi guitarist Troy Daughtry. Good job, Jay.
There we go.
Who was hanging around in the studio the whole week we were recording the record. I sucked at guitar solos, and he showed up with a guitar he had just bought at a yard sale, so we told him to play something sloppy and unpolished.
That was one take?
Yes, so.
Okay, that's pretty cool, actually.
It is cool, but like it's just I don't think it fits the style of the song.
I mean, I'm digging it.
Okay. Jay is a thumbs up. I'm
Yep.
a thumbs down.
Yeah, oh well.
Join us next week for Rate This Guitar Solo. That's kind of the song, right?
Yeah, at the very end, he kind of plays out through that intro style at like 2:37, and then he says, "It's that same old story," which I kind of like, you know.
I've left you behind. It's that same old story.
You kind of get a little bit of like doubling up on the drums right there, which is fun.
Yeah.
Nice distortion to end.
Never shy with the feedback on this
Good
album.
feedback. Yeah, yeah. I like it.
Me too. Yeah, I think it's once again it's kind of a different approach to punk rock than the first song was, but it's still fun. It's still melodic. I think it's a good song. I think musically, I like this one, the instrumental, better than the vocals, but I still think it's all good together.
Okay.
All right, you want me to read the? Oh, Jesus Christ, these are long. Okay.
I know. I got the short one.
All right, I'm reading the lyrics. I think I've had enough. I never thought that it would end this way. Expectations of what could have been have knocked me down and ripped you away. By the way, they just blow through some lyrics on these albums, like on this entire album. They just some lyrics are really short, but sometimes they just blow through pages of. Anyways, okay. When I try to share my feelings with you, I turn around and find that you're not there. I have to wonder if you ever loved me. I have to wonder if you ever cared. Depression has taken its toll. Obsession makes me lose control. Confusion has clouded my mind. You've gone ahead and left me behind. You think you've had it tough. All these problems that you couldn't solve. Never bothered to ask the question. Your blind solutions became your resolve. I tried to figure it out. I looked inside to find where I went wrong. I always thought I was doing the right thing. I always thought you wanted along. Is that right? These are Scott-approved lyrics, so I guess that's what it is. And then once again, depression has taken its toll. Obsession makes me lose control. Confusion has clouded my mind. It's gone ahead and left me behind. I think I've had enough. I never thought that it would end this way. Expectations of what could have been have knocked me down and ripped you away. So now I'm standing and I put you behind. I'm moving on. My focus is clear. The confusion that once clouded my mind, I've left behind me without a tear. And then at the end is, I've left you behind. It's the same old story.
You know, for someone who was probably like 20 when they wrote the lyrics, it's really not bad. Like, I get it. Like, it seems to be at least about a relationship, right?
Yeah.
You know, all those feelings, but by the end, he's kind of coming out on top.
Yeah, I agree. This is more emotionally mature than I was at this age.
Yeah. And I really like the chorus more about just the way
Yeah.
he sings
Depression
it. Depression
has taken its toll.
Obsession.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that part is really nice. Might be the best part of the song. And so, yeah, good job. Again, this is nothing really Christian at all, which is fine. And in fact, just probably why I like it now. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, and I do like the turns in the song, you know. I think I've had enough. I never thought it even this way. Into you think you've had it tough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of relate to this a little bit, you know. Like he says here, I tried to figure it out. I looked inside to find where I went wrong. I always thought that I was doing the right thing, you know. Like I'm working on me, you know. Can you put a little effort into this too?
Yeah.
I actually really appreciate that because I've felt like that many times in my life through relationships.
You know, and by the end, I'm moving on. My focus is clear. The confusion that once clouded my mind, I've left behind without a tear. Like
Yeah.
I'm that's it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
I like it. Good job, guys. All right, moving on to track 3, Tied Up in You.
Yeah, and this just goes straight in, bass and drums. We got a really nice bass tone here. This song's 2.5 minutes long. It's a little shorter, and we kind of get like the first verse. We'll play here in a second. It's like a little bit like spoken word vocals almost. Yeah, it's fun. So I was just looking as you were playing that. I don't see this song on any of their previous releases. So this is one of the few that I think is newer for this album.
I buy that.
Yeah. I like that building in the vocals where he's kind of like spoken word and then he's getting shouty by the end right there.
Yeah. And also, I'll get into a little bit of lyrics here, but the lyrics are great. You're so cool. I wanted to kiss you. You know, it's just the way you just kind of throw it off, you know, just like whatever. I really enjoy that. When I was a kid, this was one of my favorite songs. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think possibly because like the bass on here reminds me of that one Plank Eye song from their first album. You know, with the ding 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 bass, you know?
Yeah, that album had a lot of like
yeah. And it was kind of punky, you know, but also a little not punky. And so I think I kind of almost had a framework for understanding this song when I was a kid. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed this song and especially kind of that build into the vocals as we just heard, and we're about to go into the chorus here.
Listen, before we get to it, I want our listeners to think about who this sounds like in the chorus. I swear to God, this sounds so much like, well, certain non-Christian vocalist to me. Like, they did a fantastic job nailing it. Hey, we'll play it, see if anybody else hears what I hear.
Picture perfect happiness, images I thought I saw never coming true. What do I always learn from the pain and the hurt? And when the pages turn, I get so tired of you.
I love the guitar. Just like the state on the one note, it just is so good.
Listen,
sorry,
those vocals sound so much like Ian MacKaye of Fugazi, Minor Threat, Embrace, whatever band you want to think of. To me, I'm
100%.
curious what everyone else thinks, but like I've like they nailed it.
They
I
did.
mean, like wow. Like I remember the first time I re-listened to this for this episode, I was like, shit, like that sounds exactly like him. Like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a great chorus. And we'll get into the lyrics later, but I think the way the vocals are combined with the lyrics, just for this kind of like, when we get into the lyrics, you'll hear this, but it's very like things are happening to me and I'm not part of them, you know? And I think that fits so well with kind of that spoken word, you know, you're so cool. I wanted to kiss you kind of thing at the beginning. Just kind of like, whatever, man. Like I'm just over here chilling and things keep happening to me, you know? Anyways, I really like this song. I would legit put this song on a comp today.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. And just like the last song, there's not really any other songs on the album that sound like this one.
Yeah.
And I could have done with another one or two that had this vibe for sure. Like would have been fine.
Yeah.
Yelly vocals on the chorus. Yeah, do it. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. You want to skip here? Maybe we'll skip past the next verse and go to the
bridge.
There's kind of a bridge. Yeah, it's kind of a
Caught
bridge.
up in lies. That part.
Yeah.
Caught up in lies. Caught up in lies. Caught up in lies. And picture perfect happiness. Images I thought I saw are never coming true. Why do I always run from the pain and the hurt? And when the page is done, I guess I'm tired of you. Why do I always run from the pain and the hurt? And when the page is done, I guess I'm tired of you.
It ends abruptly there, by the way, because it goes straight into the next song, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, like there's a couple of songs like that on this
Yeah.
album where it's like, wait, oh, it's another song. You don't notice unless you're
Yeah.
kind of paying attention.
They
yeah.
very clearly recorded them live, back to back. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, yeah. Should we talk about the lyrics?
Just a second. So I do have some
Okay.
notes. I do have some notes from Scott here. He says this is a personal favorite of mine, both musically and lyrically. I love how it, and he loves how it blends in with the neck as it goes into the next song as well.
Yeah.
He says he got to do the screaming chorus since Dan wasn't a screamer, which is fun. I got to pretend I was Dave Smalley. Who's Dave Smalley? Dag Nasty. Okay.
Okay. Well, it sounds like Ian Mackay, so
I agree, and I love those vocals. They're wonderful. All right, Jay, you get to do another short. God damn it, I'm looking forward to the next song, and
I nailed it, y'all. Well, I just want to say in that chorus that we played, if you heard "Why Do I Always Hunt" from the Banana Hut, that's honestly what I heard for forever
Yes.
too.
if you're
And
just,
Scott pointed that out, that he had a friend that thought that too.
it's what I've always heard too. Like if you're
Yeah.
just casually listening to the song, you're gonna hear "Why Do I Always Hunt" from the Banana Hut. If
Yeah,
you
you in
stop
the
to
Banana
listen-
Hut especially, you
Yeah.
hear Banana Hut.
If you stop to listen to it, you can clearly make out what he's saying. But I always heard Banana Hut as well.
Yeah,
Which is-
I had no idea. I was just like, I don't know what he's saying, but Banana Hut. Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so the lyrics are, "You're so cool, I wanted to kiss you, and play another game of never knowing you. Caught up in lies and picture perfect happiness. Images I thought I saw are never coming true." And then the mysterious chorus is actually, "Why do I always learn from the pain and hurt? And when the pages turn, I guess I'm tied up in you."
I like them. Yeah, I think that like I said, that you're so cool. I wanted to kiss you, and then especially when the pages turn, I guess I'm tied up in you.
Yeah.
which hits me on so many different levels, right? Because it's like, I didn't mean for this to happen, kind of thing. It's just that we keep getting entangled in each other.
Right.
Kind of that kind of relationship vibe. What they call that, a situationship these days. I'm not up on the on the current lingo, but
And I like the line, "Images I thought I saw are never coming true." Yeah.
Caught up in lies and picture perfect happiness. Yeah. These are legit great lyrics, which is one of the reasons, once again, I would put this on a compilation today.
Yeah, it's a fun song. Honestly, you could see this album started off strong. Like the first 3 songs so far, like pretty good. Yeah.
All right. So notes from Scott on the lyrics. And this goes back, this is what Jay was just talking about. Sometimes live I would sing, "Why do I always hunt?" from the Banana Hut in the chorus, because that's what a friend of mine said she heard. When, once again, I agree. That's what I heard.
It sounds exactly like that. Yeah.
He also says, "I always love these lyrics as they deal with the deceptive nature of sin, promising but never delivering what only obedience to God can." I don't know about that, but I think they're good lyrics anyways.
Yeah, want to do the next song since it goes right into it?
Right into it. "Guilt in My Eyes."
So this is song number 4. Its vocals and full band kind of begin the song, and it's kind of, again, that like slightly spoken singing style. And it's funny because I'm going to tell you there's a couple parts in this song that remind me of Guy in Fugazi, the other singer. So... And it probably wasn't intentional. I'm probably reading way too much into it, but I was like, oh, I hear him in this song. So, yeah.
There's no question, I'm falling on my face. It's not an issue. I've made a few mistakes. There's just one thing that you must know, my friend. Those things no longer bear me down. I've got no crutch, nothing I lean upon. I've been spared the pain that eats you up inside. Look in my eyes, and you will see. In my soul, I'm truly free. No longer.
Mostly just a spoken word thing so far. I do appreciate that the kind of the first half of the first verse there, whatever you want to call it, is musically different. They like the first part's just kind of really grungy, like delivery musically, and then it kind of goes more into the smoother punk rock guitar there.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know, like sometimes it's a crime that we have to share this podcast between good music like this and then like, what was the one we did, Frito Boat, with like
well, and we haven't decided what we're doing next time yet. Surprise, surprise! But I have one on Clifton's list. I think we should do so. And speaking of terrible,
okay.
We'll see if he goes for it, y'all. If not, you'll know. Whatever was recorded at the end of this episode, when we say it, you'll know.
All right. Anyways, that's where we are so far. We're about to get into the chorus. Any other thoughts there for the verse?
No, let's do the chorus. It's fun.
Soul, I'm truly free. No longer a slave to the lies. Not this time, not this place. I couldn't take the anger inside. Now there's no pain, no more guilt in my eyes. There's no anger without relief. No pain, I know the can't.
That's where it also sounds like Fugazi to me. No longer slave to the lies.
Yeah.
Not this time, not this place. Like, I don't know. Just to me, that I was immediately like, oh.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. One thing I love about punk rock is when I write songs, I so often feel the need to do like really interesting things that like you don't hear typically. And one thing I love about punk rock is it reminds you that just a simple da 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 da, like that's with drums and guitar, that's fucking all you need sometimes to make
Yeah, totally.
And it works every time.
This is also this is probably the first song on here where you're like, or let me say 14-year-old Jay was like, is this punk? Because it's a little slower. It's not, we're not yelling.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit different vibe.
It's funny because the BPM on this is not different. It's 1/3. Like most of the songs on this album have a BPM around 132 to 136.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they're not yelling, so it doesn't sound as aggressive.
It's true. That's true. All right. There is a good guitar part coming up here in the next verse. Can we listen to that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Now there's no pain, no more guilt in my eyes. There's no anger without relief. No pain I know that can't have peace. I see no reason for you to hide inside yourself. Pent up guilt kills your mind. Lift up your head. It's not a cloudy day for you to sit and wallow in your misery. Learn to forgive the ones who bring you down, and you will know relief today. No longer slave to the lies. Not this time, not this place. I couldn't take the anger inside. Now there's no pain, no more guilt in my eyes.
All right. I have that part right there as punk rock. But yeah, let me go back here to the let me take the vocals out so you can hear the guitar that's going on behind the first part of the verse there, which is a little bit clearer than it was in the first verse. I like it. It's kind of just wobbly and not what you kind of expect out of punk rock a lot of times.
Yeah, it's fun. We're gonna play the fast punk rock. Well, I mean, it's all punk, but we're gonna play the faster part.
Yeah. So the end part of this, the next part of the song, I have noted as verses 1 and 2, but faster and poppier.
Yep, basically, this happens a lot on this album. They just kind of repeat the same thing, but faster
and poppier is great.
Yep.
Now there's no pain, no more guilt in my eyes. There's a question that I've fallen on my face. It has never been an issue that I made a few mistakes. It's just one thing that you must know, my friend. Those things no longer bear me down. I got no grudge. There is nothing that I lean upon. I will spare the pain that eats you up inside. Look in my eyes, and you will finally see in my soul I'm truly free. Lift up your head. It's not a cloudy day.
And then back to the same thing again.
I will say one part that I did remember was that lift up your head.
Yeah.
It's not a cloudy day. Like that part, I remembered even when when I replayed it for this, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I had that. So my note after verses 1 and 2, but faster and poppier, my note again was verse 4, but original flavor.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one of the beautiful things about this album is that it's so melodic, and every once in a while it hits one of those kind of things that you don't think of as a hook, but like you said, that it just hits you. It feels like a hook, and you're like, oh, that really came together right there. It feels good.
Yep.
So this is another note from Scott here. He says, another one of my favorites. Personally, I like the break and re-entry to the final verse. At the time, it reminded us of our favorite band, Down by Law, but not sure why. I don't know Down by Law. I gotta educate myself on this era of punk.
There you go.
All right, I'll read the lyrics here, even though they're not as long as the first one I read.
They're not that bad.
Yeah,
they're not. The next one's going to be bad for me.
Yours have been 4 lines each.
This next one evens it out, though. Look at the next one.
Okay. There's no question I've fallen on my face. It's not an issue. I've made a few mistakes. There's just one thing that you must know, my friend. Those things no longer bear me down. I've got no crutch, nothing I lean upon. I've been spared the pain that eats you up inside. Look in my eyes, and you will see in my soul I'm truly free. No longer slave to the lies. Not this time, not this place. I could take the anger inside. Now there's no pain, no more guilt in my eyes. There's no anger without relief. No pain I know that can't have peace. I see no reason for you to hide inside yourself, Pent-up guilt kills your mind. Lift up your head, it's not a cloudy day, for you to sit and wallow in your misery. Learn to forgive the ones who bring you down, and you will know relief today.
This is another song that is not on any of their previous releases, so
Interesting.
probably new.
Yeah. We're not getting preached here, but someone is getting preached at here.
Yeah, true.
It's about how better your life is going to be once you know Jesus, kind of thing. One, I'll tell you the part I agree with this song, Jay. Learn to forgive the ones who bring you down, and you will know relief today. I don't know about today, but definitely forgiveness does help.
It's true. It's fucking hard to do sometimes.
Yes.
But you're right.
Yes. It can help you. Here's the part I don't agree with, Jay.
Okay.
I've got no crutch, nothing I lean upon. It's just, okay, your crutch may no longer be like alcohol or drugs or whatever you're thinking of. It's just a delusion now, as far as I'm concerned. But, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, it's a straightforward song.
I mean, I think we all have crutches.
Yes, we all lean on things.
Yeah, to whatever extent, but like...
Seems like a country song. Got no fence to lean on.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next song, track 5, Friend.
Yeah. Again, starting in full band. About 7 seconds in, he comes in with the first verse, and I kind of like the way he's singing this one.
Is it over? Is it done? Or maybe has it just begun with her? You're feeling something wrong. Without her, you feel alone. Like some dog without a bone, but I'm still here. I have been all alone. She brings you down, but she can't see. Distance yourselves doesn't make you free. It's hard to say it. I wish you were done with fun. Sometimes I just can't talk to you.
I like those vocals.
Mhm.
Is it over? Is it done?
If it went on too long, they would get annoying. But luckily, the song's only a little over 2 minutes long, you know?
Yeah.
But
No,
that's
it's
true of most punk. If it goes on too long, it gets annoying. That's
True.
not an insult, by the way.
no, it's I like the style. And that's something actually, even going back now as we're doing it, like the vocals on almost every song are different.
Yeah.
And that might be a bad thing, but it's good for this. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. As a kid, I don't think, like, when I was listening to this alone on the few occasions that it happened, I probably didn't make it this far because that last song would have taken me out, you know, as a kid. But if I had stuck around for this, I would have heard something that I recognized more. And I think it might just be like the more kind of tenor vocals, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to the kind of talky, more baritone type thing. And then we go into the chorus here.
Empathy is all I can see, so I keep looking on. In the end, I'll say what's in my head, but for now, I'll keep to myself. Time's gone by, you change, and so have I, that's natural, but please don't change for us.
Great bass there, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna turn off the vocals so we can hear it.
I mean, well, I'll save this for the lyrics.
Okay.
So I'll wait till we get to it.
All right. There is a guitar solo in this one, Jay.
Oh, yeah.
What did you? We should talk about it afterwards. Let's listen to it.
We kind of get a little, at the end there, a little nice bass
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really solo, but kind of following the guitar.
Yeah, they kind of come together, and do their thing together. Yeah, it's nice.
I'm going to guess that you like this guitar solo.
I like this
more than
guitar
that one.
solo.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because it's simpler?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't like noodling guitar solos.
But you like Built to Spill.
Hey. Built to Spill's good. It's true.
He has
I
no
don't know.
rebuttal. He's just like, I like Built to Spill. I mean, it's fine. I like Built to Spill too, but
Look, I'm not defending myself. I'm just stating what I observe about myself.
I get it. I know.
Yeah. Anyways, this is a good song. I don't think it's one of the best on the album, but I think it is a good song.
Yeah. Same.
Right.
Yeah.
Jay, read these lyrics.
I actually had to look up what enmity means, so it's a little bit embarrassing. But anyway, okay, here we go. Here's what it says. Is it over? Is it done? Or maybe has it just begun? With her, you feel there's something wrong. Without her, you feel alone, like some dog without its bone, but I'm still here. I have been all along. She brings you down, but she can't see. Distance yourself. Does it make you free? It's hard to say it. I wish you were done with her, and sometimes I just can't talk to you. Of course, this enmity is all I see, so I keep looking on. In the end, I'll say what's in my head, but for now, I'll keep to myself. As time's gone by, you've changed, and so have I. That's natural, but please, please don't change for her. The future will unfold. These troubled times will fade away. The past will quickly turn to gray. Know what you believe. Don't let her influence your point of view. Don't let her change your ways. What's done in the name of love could soon be cause for hatred, cause for pain. Regret soon turns to shame. Enmity is all I can see, so I keep looking on. In the end, I'll say what's in my head, but for now, I'll just sing this song. I mean, the song is called Friend, and then when you hear the lyrics, it's pretty clear what's going on.
Yeah. He doesn't like someone's girlfriend.
Yeah, which I think we've probably all been in this position at some point.
Definitely so. This may be a slightly worse version than most people have to go through, it seems like. But yeah, I think we've been there. I do like the, don't change for her. Some, things done in love sometimes can, I forget where exactly it happened here, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know, right? Like sometimes she's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's just your perspective.
Right.
And then sometimes, I will say sometimes friends pick up on it much quicker than the person that's in love at times.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, yeah, I wanted to tell you, man, but I didn't know how, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like I had a friend who got divorced and he's like, why didn't you tell me, man? And I was like, I didn't, like, was it me? Was it her? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's hard. You're like, I don't get good vibes, but like maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
yeah, exactly. Scott says of this, I wrote this song while watching my best friend make poor decisions with his girlfriend.
There we go.
All right, cool. Track 6, Turning Point.
Which was, by the way, on their first demo. And this is probably the fastest song so far.
Yes, it is. At 147 BPM.
This definitely seemed punk to 14-year-old Jay. Don't worry.
Let's listen. Those verses have this weird kind of like monotone dual tracking thing going on. I described it as interesting and annoying, but leaning more towards interesting.
I feel about the same. Yeah.
I don't think it's one of the best songs on the album. I think it is punk. It is fun, but I think I wouldn't say it's filler, but it's just it's a good song that's just kind of there.
I kind of kept it in just because of the tempo.
Yeah.
I also really like that bass. Boom, 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 boom. Like when that becomes prominent in there, that sounds very like the punk I knew from the 90s.
Right, yes,
that
that's a
was
good
the style,
point,
you
yeah.
know.
Scott says of it, one of our earliest songs, I think it was one of about 7 songs we had completed after our first official practice. It's a lot of songs to write in one practice. I do like this. There's an kind of instrumental breakdown thing here with drum breaks.
Yeah, we got some drum solos.
If you turn away, sometimes I think
That's it. Fun song. No, let's
Yeah, it's simple, but it's kind of fun. And like, they could have had more songs like this on here. I would have kept listening. Like, it's it's not bad.
I mean, this is as good as like a third of kind of the more filler songs on Poking at You.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know we haven't done that one. I don't know if we ever will. I'm sure
We might.
will. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, no, for sure.
It's one of the 2 albums that Scott suggested for his visit.
Okay. All right.
All right. Should we do the lyrics? It's not a lot to it.
Yeah, this is your turn. So
All right.
look, you got a short one.
Short. I try to tell you just what you mean to me. Days never ending, life it seems so carefree. Warm summer nights have changed into winter days. Now I stand freezing cold in this misery. I don't care what you say. I won't change if you turn away. Time passes by, seasons still changing, and I wonder why those days spent pretending that you are still here, standing beside me, but all that is gone, forgotten in history. I don't care what you say. I won't change if you turn away. Sometimes I think life could be different, living each day like there's no tomorrow. But what would that do? It won't change anything. Your narrow mind pushes me far away. I don't care what you say. I won't change if you turn away.
What's it mean, Clifton?
Just some snotty punk rock stuff, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like snotty punk rock stuff is probably the best description I can come up with for that.
Mhm.
All right. Track 7, Tried to Be Different. All right. So the only thing I really think I noted about this is that listen to the vocals here.
you told my heart to just a simple whisper and a gentle look in your eye. It all seemed much too silly as I tried to paint the picture and then what I had denied. Take it slow, time to go. The life I choose to live is one without commitment. I've got to make it my own.
This is kind of where a big part of my thoughts on this is like punk rock that's not being influenced by punk rock comes from. Because this
Oh,
seems
for
almost,
sure.
this
Yeah.
seems very like early rock, early like hard rock, like Van Halen into like almost a little hair metal type stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gentle look in your eye. Yeah, like the vocals for this one, I was kind of like, nope.
Yeah. Definitely young me never got past this song.
Yeah, this is kind of where I kind of like skipped
Yeah.
songs on the album.
Yeah.
You know.
But I will say there are good songs in the second half of the album. I'm going to do track 10 now, Spit. Here's the thing, Jay. It is 1 minute and 11 seconds long. Would you be offended if I just played the whole song?
I would not be.
Let's do it! Punk rock!
Senses through my fingers as I'm left with empty hands. You know my anger turns to fury as I see the man I am. I'm just caught up in my life of sorrow. I can't escape my past. Trapped inside this metal cage with nothing left to grasp. Alone you see me standing waiting for a hand to hold. Just longing for acceptance in a world forever brown. Staring at the moon and all the stars that shine above. I feel it raising myself with it, but I'm reaching out for love. No one seems to notice 'cause I play the games quite
Now, Clifton, I'm going to be honest. Had they not done the sped up part at the end, I don't think I would like it very much.
I agree. But I kind of like that it's just like this never stopping force for 44 seconds, from the first second of the song for 44 seconds. It's just this nonstop delivery of lyrics.
Yeah, it's true.
And then they kind of go on with the groove, and it's actually a really good groove, I think. I don't know if it's worthy of going for a minute before it changes into the faster thing, but it's just, there's something about this song that I do like that does have this kind of just, I don't want to say grooviness, but like this just feeling to it that I like.
And we get a haka tua
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That's better than mine.
Scott says, another that I really enjoy. I think it was our take on sounding like token entry, even though it really doesn't sound like token entry.
I went and listened to Token Entry because of that. The song Revelation by them sounds a little like this, but that's still a stretch.
Yeah. But this does sound like punk to me.
Okay. Yeah, the end for sure.
The whole thing. But the end sounds more like pop punk, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all we're going to do.
This was also on their 1991
Really?
album. Yep.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Jay, what did you think of the album?
So, yeah, I mean, I liked this album overall. Like, I thought it was good. I wish I had the background more and appreciated it more. The cover artwork, I really think it's not bad. I like the original better than the re-release.
Me too.
I don't know why. It's Via Records. They barely lasted at all. Like, why did they have a re-release of this with different artwork? I don't understand.
Maybe they did a small print the first time. Yeah. And the second one, funny enough, the second one does have the lyrics in it, but it's such a low quality scan and or print that you can't read them, which is why I had to get Scott to look at the lyrics.
Yeah.
But it's basically just a young girl in some overall jean type things, you know, holding up a can of soda, a black cherry soda, smiling really big. I think it works. I think it comes across as not pop punk, but punk, you know?
I agree. And it was definitely one of those in the Christian bookstore back in the day. You were like, well, this is probably something I'd like, you know?
I should listen to this. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's not a lot to it. It's really just kind of like a one fold for the insert, you know, has the cover and the back part that's in color. And the back part has just that same girl, but she's standing with like the black cherry soda can in between her legs, I guess. And the inside just has like pictures of the band kind of cut out, you know, with their names on them. And it's these weird 3D Photoshop circles that are full of words that you can't hardly read, that has like the, you know, credits in them. But yeah, I think overall, I'm glad we went back and did this, Jay. It's so much better than I remembered it being.
I agree.
And probably better than we deserved as snotty little punk rock kids in the 90s. Yeah. It's too bad we didn't have the right framework to appreciate this back then.
Well, and that is the case of a lot of the albums
It's true.
we cover.
It's true. Yeah.
In fact, it seems like it's it's either that or, yeah, this really does suck. Like, it's like, that's pretty much our podcast, right? Like, I wish I'd had a better framework for this, or like, you know, this sucks. There's
really things
bad.
that we appreciated appropriately, I think.
Okay. I mean, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a lot. I mean, like even the Julies, I think I appreciate still more to this today, and definitely over the years have grown in appreciation for it, you know. But by the way, Julies have a new single out. Go listen to it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
It is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on Bandcamp, and I think it's on Spotify, probably those kind of streaming services. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. Do you have any kind of updates on where they are now, Jay?
I do.
Cool.
Well, I'll catch you up after this album. So let me kind of take it from this album release till now. So after the release of Grin, Black Cherry Soda played at Cornerstone 95, and they continued to play around Philadelphia whenever Dan came home. They even opened for Pennywise in late 1995.
Cool.
They also played with bands from around the area like Huntington's, Goaty Hook, etc. But they never really toured, though, because the band lived in different states.
Mm-hmm.
Scott got married in 96. Some of the other guys did around this time as well, but they continued doing the band the same way, you know, recording some songs, then mailing them down to Dan in Nashville. And around this time, unfortunately, Via Records folded, but the band had written new stuff, and Scott wanted to make sure they recorded it. So they booked a studio in Philadelphia and recorded another album on their own. They sent it out to a few labels, including Tooth and Nail, but no one was super interested, and probably this is because Black Cherry Soda couldn't and didn't tour.
Which
so they
I appreciate
just
Scott kind of like hinting that they hid that. They're like, yeah, we'll tour. We're not going to tour.
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I think they were like, yeah, sure. But yeah, no. But finally, Tom Mans from 121 told Scott that they just got signed to Bulletproof Records and that Scott should send that album to them. Bulletproof was into it, and Scott was happy to get some of their money recouped from the recording, so they signed with Bulletproof and ended up putting out Back on the Map in 1998. But basically, at this point, the band was done.
Yeah.
Bulletproof wanted them to tour and do more, but the guys had all gone their own ways. So that was it. After that, Scott played in a couple of other bands, The Kindred and Aquaport, and today he works as a home remodeler in the Philadelphia area. Dave Calamaro is an academic dean at a private school in the Philadelphia area. Tim Rauter is a web developer, and Dan Rauter is still in the music business running a group called SVP Touring.
Cool.
And Clifton, my overall take on this is kind of like maybe wrong place, wrong time. In fact, if I'm going to give an award, maybe I'll give that. Like you know, they got started in 91. A lot of these songs are actually from their demo in 91.
Yeah.
And by the time this album comes out, they're already kind of like living in different states. They're still a band, but not like it's hard to be a band, you know. And by the time that second one comes out, by the time it finally gets released on Bulletproof, they're not really a band at all anymore. And so I think it's just like.
And also by the time even the first album comes out, pop punk is taken over the punk rock scene.
Yeah, it's not even the same style. So it's like if somehow they had been a little bit later or the music industry been different, like I think it could have really been a different story, but just the timing and the place and the style and everything, it just didn't really work out, unfortunately.
I also just don't know how seriously they were like going to be like a touring band that made a career out of this, more than they were just like some guys who enjoyed making music and were, you know, kind of, they were good songwriters and deserved to have their music heard.
Like with Dan living out of state, it just was never going to be like full on type thing.
Well, cool. All right. What are we doing on the next episode, Jay?
All right, Clifton, here's what I think. Hang on, I got to look back.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I
By the way, while
up.
Jay's doing this was the original concept for the show, was that we would always choose the other person's album for the next, like we would force the other person to listen to something, you know? This was always kind of the concept. When we do it sometimes, but we don't do it often.
All right, Clifton, here's what I think.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to be nice to you because this is actually an EP on your list.
Okay.
So, and I know we're a little like crunched on time and everything, so this will be a good one. I think you should do Disciple. My Daddy Can Whip Your Daddy.
Fuck yeah. We're doing Disciple. I don't know that I ever listened to more than that first song for about 3 months between being like 15 and 16, you know?
Well, I listened to it a little bit to just see if this was good, and I was like, oh, this is a great choice. I mean, I'm a little sad that I have to listen to it more now, but like, I'll get through it.
We will blow through that episode, you guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 30-minute episode.
5-song EP, you know, no, we'll give it our all. It could be pretty fun.
We have to do all 5 songs? Oh,
I mean, Clifton, I don't know, man. It's your EP, so.
It's true. Okay. Disciple, My Daddy Can Whoop Your Daddy. Jay, question. Is this the same band that's like also Disciple X, or is that a different band?
No, that is more like a hardcore band that was out at the same time, and I think that's why they had to have the like X.
Okay.
Yeah, no. By the way, Disciple is still a band, Clifton.
Jesus Christ.
Also, they may be one of the most popular bands according to like current Spotify listens that we've ever done on this podcast. So this is well, no, okay, never mind. We've done Switchfoot, never mind.
That's
but
true.
like, still one of the higher ones.
Okay, and it's kind of like metal, I think, metalish.
Well, but like
kid metal.
more like like new metal or like just bad metal. Like I don't even know if it's metal. It's
it's audio.
Wannabe metal.
Audio Adrenaline does metal.
Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah,
we nailed it, you guys. All right, that's what we're doing.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Music Saved Us.
If you enjoy... Jesus Christ. I was gone. If you enjoyed your time with us, please leave us a review or share this episode. Visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute and get extended episodes. Visit our website, yourmusicsavedus.com, to find out all the ways to listen, including not Spotify. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Join our Facebook group or follow us to keep up with the latest or interact with us. Send compliments and disagreements to yourmusicsavedus@gmail.com.
The music in this episode is the work of Black Cherry Soda and is used with apologies, not permission. And I don't know where you could buy any of their stuff, but maybe used? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can still find it like on Discogs used, but nothing's going to these guys, and I don't know what to do about that. So send your love to these guys on the social medias and tell them that you're glad that they existed.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Clifton, instead of send complaints, you said send compliments and disagreements, which I think we should just leave.
Fuck yeah.